Hello, Neil. How are you doing?
Hello there. How are you?
Very well, very well. Lovely to speak to you across the Great Divide.
Yeah, it's nice to speak with you. I'm visiting one of my grandchildren, so I've got an interesting background.
I thought it wasn't your normal.
I'm in his room at the moment, so there we are.
Excellent. And he's got skeletons and bodies on the wall, so I can.
All
Is that your influence?
All kinds of things.
Okay, Neil, so we're just going to have a quick chat. Thank you ever so much for giving us the time just about the Fascial Spine, which is on the 6th of November. And you're one of our expert speakers. Now, I know you to be a surgeon who specializes in pelvic repair. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I've been involved in pelvic reconstruction for about 35 years. I've actually recently retired just in the last few months, and it's given me an opportunity to delve a little more deeply into some topics that have always been of interest to me, but I've never really had the opportunity to explore.
Wonderful. So when I contacted you and said, I'd really love you to be a speaker for the Fascial Spine, and you said, yes, I'm in, what drew you to it? What's so fascinating about the spine?
Well, I've always been familiar, well, not always, but for about 10 years ago, I was introduced to the work of Serge Grakovetsky, who is he is a Canadian computer scientist who did studies on the spine years ago, back in the 1980s. And his work has never really been appreciated. It's been very difficult for him to get into the mainstream because he's not a doctor. But he wrote a wonderful book about the spinal engine, which I first read about 10 years ago, and I needed a good excuse to go back and revisit that book. And I've read it 3 more times in the last few months in preparing for this. So now I feel I have quite a good grasp of what he's saying. And I look forward to translating it for your audience.
Excellent. I'm really excited about this. And can you give us maybe a broad outline of what your lecture will cover? You're obviously going to explain the spinal engine, but can you give us a broader outline of it?
Yes, well, I'm going to take an approach that is that's also my typical way of looking at things is from an evolutionary point of view.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking at how evolution has been able to help us become more and more efficient. Fishes, although there's a fish in efficiency, fish are not really very efficient. And birds are more efficient than fishes, and humans are so much more efficient than birds. And this has to do with the symmetry and asymmetry of distribution of muscle, for example. It has to do with mechanisms for breathing and for movement. Mm-hmm. The thing that really began to catch my interest was that we tend to think about wings for flying with birds and legs for walking with humans. But Serge Grakovetsky came across an individual who had no legs, who was born with no legs, who was able to walk perfectly well on his pelvis. Yeah. And I think when one comes across a particularly unusual example of a challenge that nature meets, oftentimes it can teach you a whole lot of things. And he was able to explore this in remarkable depth and demonstrate that the energy does not come from your legs, it comes from your core. And that core has to do with torque. And that torque is not generated by those little muscles immediately adjacent to your spine, because the muscles themselves are too small. They're far too close to the spinal cord to have much to the spinal column to have much in the way of mechanical advantage. And so it's the great muscles of the body. It's the psoas muscle the gluteal muscles. It's the quadriceps and the hamstrings that are the primary drivers of spinal movement. And this is something that seems a little upside down, but actually, as you pursue it, it becomes more and more logical.
I'm looking forward to it. It sounds fascinating. So if people want to know more, they can join us for the Fascial Spine. It's on Saturday, the 6th of November. I think 13:30 to 2100 hours UK time. Go to thefasciahub.com and you can read all about it there. Thank you so much for taking time out from your time with your grandchildren, Niall.
Not at all. It's been a great pleasure, and I look forward to the Fascial Spine.
Look forward to it, and I'll see you there.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.